Hello, it's Ashley here from Paper and Twine. I'm going to come on today and show you my top 5 craft room tools that I could not live without. Number 1 is a paper trimmer. Mr. Paper and Twine recently bought me the Fiskars Procision rotary trimmer, which is brilliant. It goes up to 15 inches, I think. It is a rather big, clunky piece of equipment, brilliant for cutting through lots of layers at once and things like 2mm grey board. But when you want to do something small, you can't beat this little Tonic Studio guillotine trimmer. I've had this a very long time. It comes with a little handle. I can't see, so I'm hoping that I'm in shot for you. Yeah, it comes with this little paper trimmer handle and a nice guillotine action. And when you're working on small projects, which I like to do a lot, obviously, this is really handy. And if you're going to craft workshops when we're allowed, or you want to go around to a friend's house for crafting, this is a perfect tool. So like all paper trimmers, just butt up at the top, and I'm just going to cut that edge away. I've got a little bag over here for my rubbish that I can put the recycling, but you can get really, really fine little slithers, which is really, really good. So I do like my Tonic Studio. You can get them in lots of places. They're about £17 on the internet. That seems to be about the average price. It's sturdy but lightweight, as I say. The only problem with it for me is, although it goes down to 22 centimeters this way, it only goes to 11 centimeters this way. So you have to know what your original card size is and be good at maths if you want to actually measure anything bigger than 11 centimeters. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. That is top of my list, is some sort of paper trimmer. The next thing on my list is 2 tools combined in one, and this is an envelope punch board, and it comes with this really useful score tool, and I use this all the time, and I don't keep it in here, I keep it in my pot of tools that I use a lot, but I just wanted to show you that there's a little place for it. So you can make lots of different sizes of envelope. I've been making a lot of ATCs, so those are 2.5 by 3.5. So the way it works is, look at your card size, it tells you the paper size that you need, and it tells you the score line, and it's got little instructions here that are very easy to follow. So I'm going to make a little envelope for an ATC, because I've got lots of those going out, and it tells me that I need my paper at 5.5 inches square. So I've already gone ahead and cut this. Then it tells me my score line needs to be 2 3/8 of an inch, and I've got a little mark, a ruler along here in inches and in centimeters underneath, and I look along and find 2 3/8. Make sure your paper's butted up to the edge, punch, and then you've got a channel here that you score. And because this is quite heavy paper, I'm giving it a really good scoring. You then rotate, and you don't need to measure again, you just line up this little notch and you punch and score. And again, I'm just scoring, punch, score, lining up. You need to be accurate, otherwise you won't get the measurements quite right. Punch and score, and there we've got the basis of our envelope. So what is also really handy about this tool is it has a corner rounder. So if you like to round the edges of your corners, just make sure you butt it and then trying to keep tidy as I go along. And then you just fold and burnish your score lines. I hope I'm in shot for you guys. I haven't figured out how to do this so that I can see. I suppose I could have my phone facing the other way, but Mr. Paper and Twine tells me that the rear camera is better. And then I'm not going to build this up now, but you fold your flaps in, put some adhesive on here. You could cut that bit away, and quite often I do, or you could fold it underneath. And there's your little ATC envelope. How quick was that? The beauty of this is that if you look online, if there are envelope sizes that aren't laid out on here, I mean, it goes up to a 6 times 8.5 inch, for example. If there are sizes on here that you don't use and you want something custom, like a 2x2, for example, there is a calculator online. I'll see if I can leave the link to it if anybody's interested. There are lots of things you can do with this little tool other than making envelopes. You can actually make envelope boxes as well. So some of you know that I've started to sell some of my jewellery online, and I haven't got any organza bags. So I thought I'd make a little box, and as I say, I've got lots of card and paper to use up. So it seems silly to spend money on things that I don't need. So I decided on the measurements that I needed and looked on this envelope calculator, and this was the measurements that I got. So it told me that I needed my paper 12.1 centimetres, so that's 12 and 1 millimetres square. And then I need to do 2 punch lines for this. So my first one is 5 and 3.4 centimetres. So there's my 5, and I'm just going to roughly eyeball it. There's my 4. And I want about there, and I'm going to punch, and because this is hefty cardstock, I'm giving it a really good scoring. And then I don't move it, I move along to 6.76 centimetres. So there's my 7, 6.9, 6.8. So I need about there. Punch and score. And once you've got your first score lines, it's plain sailing from there. So you can see I've got this like gusset, and then you simply follow the same procedure again. You punch and score, move along to your second, punch and score, rotate, punch and score, punch and score, and you end up with something that looks like that. I don't know whether you can see the score lines, and what you will have to do is notch these tabs to make little closures, and you will end up with something that looks a little bit like this when you have glued it all together. And I just put a bit of washi tape, but I would wrap my pendant up in tissue paper, pop it inside, and it fits perfectly. So I'm not going to waste time showing you how to make that up. I'm sure you all know how to make boxes up, but just to show you how versatile this tool is. So I'll just move that out of the way. Get rid of those bits. You could round your corners if you wanted to. So that's my second tool. You can get them, there was a lot of price discrepancy. You can get them between £16 and £23. Stamping Up used to do one, but they seem to have discontinued it. But mine is a We Are Memory Keepers. My next tool that I couldn't do without is a range of acrylic blocks, and you can get these in lots of different sizes and shapes and thickness. You can get ones from Paper Mania that have grids on them. So this is a really loved one, but I don't know whether the camera's picking up the grids on that, so you can line things up if you want to. I use this when I'm doing when I want to do a big background that I cut down. Some of you have seen how I make my backgrounds, and I've got an even bigger acrylic block that I use if I really want to do a lot at once. But I use these for obviously mounting stamps and for making my backgrounds. They range in price from a couple of pounds to the bigger ones are obviously a little bit more expensive. Lots of sites sell them. These are good quality heavy ones and are very much used and very much loved. The next thing that I couldn't live without is a water spray bottle. Now, my one from Tim Holtz, the Distress Spray, I showed you, I'd left it on the windowsill and the plastic had discoloured, and I went to fill it up and it just shattered. I had got a spare bottle, but what is good about the Tim Holtz is that it has a locking mechanism. So again, if you're travelling, you can stop it from spraying, but also you can do a fine mist by pressing the trigger quickly, and you can do dribbles by pressing the trigger slowly. So that's what makes the Tim Holtz sprayer a little bit different from normal sprayers, and I was lucky that this fixture fit on the top of this. They're about £5, the Tim Holtz one. Then finally in my top 5 is a quickie glue pen. And I'm just going to stop you there because I want to show you how I use the quickie glue pen and why it is one of my top 5. Number 5 in my top 5. Hold on. So I've just gone ahead and stamped this little fish image on one of my little backgrounds. I've got some scrap paper. And these quickie glue pens allow you to be accurate when you're applying little bits of glitter or bling. I don't like lots and lots of glitter. I just like a subtle little bit. So we're going to bling this up a little bit, and I'm just going to put some dots. It comes out blue, so you can see where you've applied it. I've just done 4 little dots. And I've got this glitter from Lavinia. It's holographic moon glow, and it's quite big. I'm just going to put a little bit on, a little bit on each dot. There is a shaker nozzle on this, which makes it easier to apply. I'm just going to put that back in there. Does anybody else have trouble with glitter going everywhere? I was having a conversation with Diane Cross. She was saying that she was using Aurora glimmer flakes, was it? And they were going everywhere. I mean, I've got bits of glitter embedded in my leather sofa from years ago, and I can't get it out. It makes it look quite pretty. But I don't know whether you can see, I've just got the tiniest little bits of bling there, which are quite nice. And then some of you have seen me use or have seen projects where I've used the gold micro beads from Judykins for sand on my sea things and as the centres of daisies. Well, I've found the silver. I've had these a very long time and I've only got half a pot left, which is a real shame because I love them. I don't even know whether they manufacture them this small anymore, but we're going to just add some random little dots of glue. And again, because it's blue, you can see where you've applied it. I wouldn't say that this glue is strong enough to adhere projects. You'd need to use a stronger glue to actually stick bits of card together. these do have a tendency to travel everywhere very, very quickly. Just pop those back in there. I've put a crease in my scrap paper so that it's easier. But you can see, well, I hope you can see, I've got some tiny little bits of silver, and it is a true kind of sterling silver colour. It's not brassy or bold, and it adds just a little bit of texture to your project. So the other thing about the Judykins is that the Quickie glue pen, is that you can write with it. So let's see what happens if I write my name and let's apply these micro beads again and see what happens. You'd be better with glitter. Oh, they've just gone everywhere. And actually that's come out quite well. Would have been better if I'd done it on black maybe so you can see, but yeah, so you could draw lines. If you'd got a little bit of landscaping, if you'd got a tree scene, for example, in winter, you could draw a line under your landscaping and put some white glitter or silvery glitter for frost, that kind of thing, which would look very nice. So that is why I like my Quickie glue pen. Now, it was very, very difficult for me to come up with the top 5. There were more things that I wanted to include. And this is tools rather than products. I will do a products, but other things that I couldn't live without. This is a bonus 3 for you, is the VersaFine Onyx Black. It picks up detail beautifully. I'm just going to show you actually. I've got this very small butterfly stamp and a slither of one of my backgrounds. So we'll see if we get a nice impression with this. And I've had this ink for a very long time, as I've said in previous videos, and it is still going strong. Can you see I've inked up? I'm just going to pop my butterfly, and there I've got a lovely crisp impression. So that is why I like the VersaFine Onyx Black. I am also liking at the moment the VersaFine Claire Nocturne, which is also a black. This is really good for your Lavinia stamps that have got a lot of solid backgrounds. Just stamp off on my scrap paper and put this little stamp away. The next thing on my list is the Collal glue. Now this is a really good glue, and I get this from Dragon's Papercraft in Rugby. You can get it in all kinds of craft shops, but Hazel at Dragon's Papercraft sells 4 of these for £10. There's 100 millilitres in each bottle, and I think they're normally about £3 a bottle, so that's quite a good bargain. It also kind of adds strength to your projects, your card projects, so that I couldn't live without. And then finally, these all come under one. I've got my water brush, which I use for watercolouring my Distress Oxides or my Distress Inks and my Cosmic Shimmers. If I want to add shimmer to oxides and Distress Inks, I use the Sparkle pen, Spectrum Noir. This one is running out. Can't get the lid off. Hold on. There we go. I think this one's running out, but it's like Wink of Stella. Yeah, I can hear it's run out, so I'm going to have to order a couple of these. But I don't know whether you can just pick up a little bit of twinkle there, and I do like my little bit of twinkle. So the fine brush I'm really liking for adding detail to things. And I'll just show you how I do this. So I'm going to come in with a Lavinia stamp, come in with one of the fishes. This one has got little spots on it that I really like. And I've got a scrap of background from, this is waste from an alcohol ink experiment that I did. I was using the alcohol inks on on shrink plastic, and I swirled the felt blending tool or applicator onto this cardstock, which is very thin. Actually, it's not thick enough for me to make my cards out of. And I don't know whether you can just see little bits of silver there because there's some alloy in it, but we're going to stamp over that. I'm going to use my Versaclair because this is a solid, more solid image. This is a really juicy ink pad actually, and you can, I don't know whether you can see the impression of the fish on the ink pad. So we're going to stamp him down there like that. Give it a minute to sit. Let that ink make contact with the paper, and because there's a little bit of that silver stuff, the ink's got to kind of work to go over that. And it's a lovely image, but where the silver of that alloy is, the black ink has resisted. But what I want to do is add a little splash of colour to these spots. I'm going to use this block because this one's a little bit small. Just tidy up as I go along. Just move that over there. I'm going to come in with my Cosmic Shimmer, which is a pigment powder that's got mica in it. And this is a really nice, vibrant blue. I'm loving this colour at the moment. Just put a tiny bit on my block. You don't need very much at all. Can you see there's just a tiny bit of pigment on there? Going to put a bit of water on my block. Literally, that's all I want, is just a drop. Come in with my brush, just wet my brush. You can see there's already some of that pigment on this brush, and just come in. Now I've got my little bit of watercolour, and I'm just going to colour these dots in. Again, it might find it hard to go over where there's alloy, but it just adds a little pop of colour. You don't have to do blue, you don't have to colour your dots in at all, but I just wanted a little bit of interest. And the fine brush is very, very useful. The other thing a fine brush is useful for is if you find that you haven't stamped one of Lavinia's heavy silhouette stamps very well, you can go in with a dry fine brush straight into your Versaclair ink and just ink up the bits that you've missed. So there's our little fishy in our little sea background with a little bit of blue. So those are my top 5 crafting couldn't do withouts and a bonus 3. I'll come back with my top 5 products another time. If you liked this video, please do share and subscribe if you're not already. Thanks very much. Bye.